Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Characters, Summary, Analysis. Hello and welcome to the discourse. Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen's most popular novel, was initially drafted as First Impressions in 1797 but was rejected for publication. Austen revised it extensively, publishing the final version on January 28, 1813, during a period marked by strict class hierarchies and limited opportunities for women. Belonging to the Romantic literary period, Pride and Prejudice is often categorized as a novel of manners, blending social satire with romantic fiction. The story unfolds in early 19th century England, primarily in the fictional estates of Longbourn, Hertfordshire, and Pemberley, Derbyshire, capturing the lives of the landed gentry. The novel employs a third-person omniscient narrator, though the perspective remains closely aligned with Elizabeth Bennet's thoughts and feelings, offering a mix of irony and psychological insight. The mature novel reflects early 19th century society rather than its late 18th century origins. Despite its eventual fame, Austen's works received little critical attention during her lifetime. Pride and Prejudice sold well, with its first edition of 1500 copies selling out, but early reviews only praised its characterizations and depiction of daily life. After she died in 1817, the novel remained popular but was largely overlooked by critics until the late 19th century, when scholars like Richard Simpson began analyzing its irony and complexity. Modern scholarship, beginning with Mary Leslie's Jane Austen and Her Art, published in 1939, has since explored the novel through various lenses, including feminist, historical, and linguistic perspectives. The novel's plot is driven by character rather than external events, with human flaws such as Elizabeth Bennet's prejudices and Caroline Bingley's jealousy shaping the narrative. Austen's ironic tone critiques societal follies without descending into outright condemnation. Despite the Romantic movement's dominance during her time, Austen rejected its emphasis on emotion and nature, favoring rationality and social order. Her works also ignore the political upheavals of her era, such as the Napoleonic Wars, focusing instead on the domestic lives of the English gentry. The Industrial Revolution's impact is similarly absent, as Austen's world remains rooted in rural tradition. The novel's enduring popularity stems from its memorable characters, engaging plot, and Austen's masterful use of irony, dialogue, and realism. Her irony exposes hypocrisy, as seen in Mr. Collins' oblivious self-importance and Mrs. Bennet's absurdity. Dialogue reveals character traits efficiently, such as Mr. Bennet's sarcasm and Lydia's frivolity. Austen's realism makes the emotions relatable, particularly Elizabeth's growth and Darcy's redemption. However, her focus on restrained emotions and limited social settings has drawn criticism for avoiding extreme passions or broader societal issues. Despite this, Pride and Prejudice remains a timeless work due to its sharp wit, well-crafted structure, and enduring relevance. Characters of Pride and Prejudice. The novel features a rich cast of characters who embody the social norms, virtues, and follies of Regency England. Each character serves a distinct role in advancing the novel's themes of love, class, and personal growth. Elizabeth Bennet is the witty and independent protagonist. Elizabeth Lizzie Bennet is known for her sharp mind, strong principles, and playful skepticism. Unlike many women of her time, she values personal integrity over social conformity. Her initial prejudice against Darcy and her refusal of his first proposal demonstrate her unwillingness to marry for anything less than mutual respect and love. Her journey from misunderstanding to self-awareness forms the novel's emotional core. Fitzwilliam Darcy is a wealthy, reserved aristocrat. Darcy initially appears proud and aloof, earning Elizabeth's dislike. However, as the novel progresses, his true character emerges. He is honorable, deeply loyal, and capable of change. His love for Elizabeth humbles him, forcing him to confront his own snobbery. His transformation from seemingly cold nobleman to a devoted suitor makes him one of literature's most beloved romantic heroes. Jane Bennet is Elizabeth's eldest sister. She is gentle, kind, and optimistic. Her beauty and sweetness make her universally admired, but her tendency to see only the good in others leaves her vulnerable to disappointment, particularly with Mr. Bingley. She serves as a foil to Elizabeth, less critical but equally virtuous. Mr. Bennet is the sarcastic and detached patriarch of the Bennet family. He is intelligent but disengaged from his responsibilities. He mocks his wife's frivolity and takes refuge in his library, avoiding the financial and marital concerns of his daughters. His neglect contributes to Lydia's reckless behavior, revealing the consequences of parental indifference. Mrs. Bennet is a comic yet pitiable figure. Mrs. Bennet is obsessed with marrying off her daughters to secure their futures. Her lack of tact, emotional outbursts, and single-minded focus on wealth and status make her a subject of satire. However, her desperation also reflects the real anxieties of mothers in a society where women had few options outside marriage. Mary Bennet is the middle Bennet sister. Mary is strangely solemn and pedantic. She dislikes going out into society and prefers to spend her time studying. Catherine Bennet, Kitty, is the second youngest Bennet daughter and exhibits little personality of her own. Instead, she imitates Lydia in almost everything, until Lydia leaves for Brighton. Lydia Bennet is the youngest of the Bennet sisters. She is foolish and flirtatious. She gratifies her every whim without considering the consequences. She is Mrs. Bennet's favorite daughter because they share similar, though frivolous, interests. She is obsessed with the regiment officers and lets her lack of virtue and propriety lead her into a near disaster with Wickham. George Wickham is a charming but deceitful militia officer. Wickham manipulates others with his smooth manners. His false accusations against Darcy and his seduction of Lydia reveal his selfishness and lack of morals. He represents the dangers of judging by appearances, a key theme in the novel. Mr. Collins is a pompous, obsequious clergyman. He is a figure of ridicule. His exaggerated deference to his patroness, Lady Catherine de Bourgh, and his awkward marriage proposal to Elizabeth highlight his lack of self-awareness. His marriage to Charlotte Lucas underscores the practical rather than romantic reasons for marriage in this society. Charlotte Lucas is Elizabeth's pragmatic best friend. She accepts Mr. Collins' proposal solely for financial security. Her choice reflects the limited options available to women. Contrasting with Elizabeth's idealism, though she finds contentment in her marriage, her situation critiques the societal pressures on women. Lady Catherine de Bourgh is a domineering aristocrat. Lady Catherine embodies the arrogance of the upper class. Her attempts to control Darcy and intimidate Elizabeth reveal her belief in rigid social hierarchies. Her eventual defeat symbolizes the decline of such unquestioned authority. Summary of Pride and Prejudice. Setting and opening events. Pride and Prejudice unfolds primarily in Hertfordshire, a rural county about 50 miles from London, where the Bennet family resides at their Longbourn estate. The novel introduces the Bennets, a family of modest means with 5 unmarried daughters, the gentle Jane, witty Elizabeth, bookish Mary, and the frivolous Kitty and Lydia. When news arrives that the wealthy Mr. Bingley has leased nearby Netherfield Park, Mrs. Bennet immediately schemes to secure him as a husband for one of her daughters. First impressions and social tensions. At the Meryton ball, Bingley proves charming and amiable, showing clear admiration for Jane Bennet. His friend, Mr. Darcy, however, offends the locals with his aloof demeanour, particularly when he refuses to dance with Elizabeth, dismissing her as merely tolerable. While Jane enjoys the attention of Bingley and his sisters Caroline and Mrs. Hurst, Elizabeth perceives their underlying arrogance. Meanwhile, Darcy finds himself reluctantly drawn to Elizabeth's intelligence and spirited wit, despite his disdain for her family's lack of refinement. Missteps and misunderstandings. After Jane falls ill during a visit to Netherfield, Elizabeth's muddy trek to nurse her earns Caroline Bingley's scorn, but deepens Darcy's admiration. Yet, Elizabeth remains oblivious to his growing regard. Her dislike cemented by Wickham, a charming militia officer who claims Darcy deprived him of his rightful inheritance. Elizabeth, already prejudiced against Darcy, accepts Wickham's story uncritically, while Jane urges caution, trusting neither man is wholly at fault. Proposals and pragmatism. The Bennets' fortunes take a turn with the arrival of Mr. Collins, the obsequious heir to Longbourn, who proposes to Elizabeth. Her refusal stuns him, and he swiftly marries her pragmatic friend Charlotte Lucas instead. Meanwhile, Bingley abruptly departs for London, leaving Jane heartbroken. Elizabeth, convinced Darcy influenced Bingley's withdrawal, seethes with resentment. A clash of pride and principles. Visiting Charlotte in Kent, Elizabeth encounters Darcy again at Rosings, his aunt Lady Catherine's estate. To her shock, Darcy proposes, but his condescending manner and role in Jane's heartbreak provoke Elizabeth's furious refusal. The next day, Darcy delivers a letter revealing Wickham's true character, a gambler who squandered his inheritance and attempted to elope with Darcy's sister Georgina. Elizabeth, forced to confront her own prejudices, begins to reassess Darcy's integrity. Crisis and redemption. During a tour of Derbyshire, Elizabeth visits Pemberley, Darcy's grand estate, and is impressed by his gracious hospitality. Their tentative reconciliation is shattered when news arrives that Lydia has eloped with Wickham, threatening the family's reputation. Yet, Darcy secretly intervenes, bribing Wickham to marry Lydia and salvaging the Bennets' social standing. Elizabeth, unaware of his role, returns home in despair. Resolution and romance. Bingley's return to Netherfield reignites his courtship of Jane, culminating in joyful engagement. Darcy, emboldened by Elizabeth's defiance of Lady Catherine's demands to reject him, proposes again. This time, Elizabeth accepts her Pride and Prejudice, overcome by love and mutual respect. The novel concludes with the marriages of both Bennet sisters, Jane to Bingley and Elizabeth to Darcy, who welcomes her to Pemberley. Kitty's character improves under his sister's guidance, while Lydia's reckless marriage to Wickham soars into mutual discontent. Character analysis. Austen's novel masterfully explores the pitfalls of first impressions, the constraints of class, and the transformative power of self-awareness. Jane Austen contrasts rationalism and romanticism through her characters, particularly in their attitudes toward love, marriage, and social expectations. The rationalists. Elizabeth Bennet, though passionate and witty, is fundamentally rational. She rejects Mr. Collins's proposal despite financial pressure, valuing personal compatibility over security. She also critically reassesses Darcy and Wickham once presented with facts, showing her reliance on reason over emotion. Charlotte Lucas is the epitome of pragmatism. She marries Mr. Collins for financial stability, openly stating, "I am not romantic, you know, I never was." Her choice highlights the harsh realities of women without fortune. Mr. Bennet is a detached observer who mocks irrationality, particularly his wife's, though his failure to act responsibly, for example with Lydia, undermines his rationality. The romantics. Jane Bennet is idealistic and trusting. She assumes the best in everyone, Bingley, Wickham, and believes love will naturally prevail. Her reserved nature contrasts with Elizabeth's critical thinking. Lydia Bennet is impulsive and ruled by passion. Lydia elopes with Wickham without considering consequences, embodying reckless romanticism. Mrs. Bennet is driven by emotion and social ambition. She views marriage as a means to security but lacks strategic reasoning, often undermining her goals with hysterics. The balanced Darcy and Bingley. Darcy begins as a rationalist, prioritizing class and duty, but evolves into a romantic, sacrificing pride for love. Bingley is romantic in his affections but easily swayed by others, for example Darcy, showing a lack of decisive rationality. Austen does not wholly favor one over the other. Elizabeth's blend of reason and feeling, she falls for Darcy after reassessing him, suggests the ideal balance. While extremes, Charlotte's cold pragmatism and Lydia's heedless passion are critiqued. The novel advocates for reason-guided love, a union of sense and sensibility. So this is it for today. We will continue to discuss the history of English literature. Please stay connected with the discourse. Thanks and regards.